what's going on? This is going to be episode 6 of CapChat Season 2. We are going to talk all things budget. We have guests John and student Taylor. They're really great. They bring, the financial aid and faculty viewpoint to all things budget, and also the students, the people taking out the money or borrowing the money or have the money, all the ways that you can pay for college. When we talk about that, we talk about all the advantages that Capital students have with ways to save money or discounts, or, even job opportunities. So it's really, really fun. You're going to love it. Come with me. This is season 2 of CapChat, episode 6. All right. Welcome to CapChat, the show that connects you to the faces, voices, and stories of CapFam. We help you tap into Capital University's CapFam, the network of thousands working together to help each other succeed. I am one of your co-hosts, John Honaker, and I am here with some pretty interesting people. If you guys are fantastic, we'll find out in this episode, right? Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Taylor Adams, and I am a sophomore here at Capital University, and I currently hold 3 jobs on campus.
Whoa.
So we're just living it up over here. I'm an early childhood education major, and yeah, that's a bit about me.
Awesome.
I'm John Brown. I'm the director of financial aid. That's my only job here.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like I'm slacking, but
hey, just because your title is shorter than her, 3 jobs,
Right.
It's direct, it's impactful. That's what we want.
all right.
So you guys have been invited here because today we're going to be talking all things budget, which, if my audio engineer could make that echo just to have more impact. Budget. We'll fix it in post. Because it has that connotation to it, right? Like people are like, budget, ugh, turn off, eye roll. It's a hard thing to do. The heart is where, money lies. And we're going to be talking about tuition and, people, these students taking out loans to come to college. And then also, are there job opportunities? How can I save? How can I be conscious of my budget? All these things. It's actually really, really important. So are you guys ready to get into it?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So tell me all things budget, your experience with budget. I actually want to hear, students' perspective. And then, you said that you hold 3 jobs. So let's talk about job opportunities for students.
Yeah. So I currently am an RA, so that's a resident assistant.
Oh, yeah.
I work in the admissions office as a visit leader, and then I'm also a building manager in our SCE office in our student union.
Now, how did you find out about those opportunities? Were you like, hey, I need some dough? That's slang. That's cool kid talk for money. I'm relevant. I'm not 31. Okay. So you were like, hey, I need some money. And you were like, you went somewhere to find out where these opportunities were?
Yeah. So I came in as a freshman last year, and I knew I was good for work study.
Okay.
And so I searched around and I was like, hey, I really need a job. Where does one get one of those? And then I just started asking around, putting my name out there, and it all came together.
Could I ask for a little bit more specific, to a certain organization, to the faculty at Capital? Who were you asking?
Yeah, I actually emailed Jenny Smith, who works in our SCE office.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, where can I get a job? And then she sent me all these links, and I was like, okay, applying.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about work study.
Mm-hmm.
John, if you can chime in, what is work study? How can you find out if you're eligible? All things like that.
Yep. So when students apply for financial aid, one of the things that we offer is federal work study.
Okay.
And it's what we call a campus-based program where the department provides funding to us to help employ students on campus. There's a matching portion that the Capital provides, but it's a financial aid award.
Now, when you say, the word federal in there, can students then, if they get, that work study program, can they be like, I'm a federal agent?
It's not quite that, but
okay.
I mean, it's still super cool, but not quite federal. So a lot of it's just where is the funding coming from for
Right.
the program. students that don't receive federal work study can still work on campus. We have a student employment page on our website.
Oh, wow.
That has a link to open jobs throughout the year. I always recommend that students, when they come onto campus at the beginning of the school year, if they're interested in working or they want to work, they look there. Those jobs can change throughout the year.
Right.
So there's different things going on at different times of the year.
Yeah.
So if a student isn't interested in working their first semester, they can always check back, or they're not finding a job that they're interested in, they can always check back. The benefit is working on campus, the employers know that you're here for school. So
Right.
it's a great opportunity to make extra income, but also understanding that, if you need time off to study or you have an exam coming up or something like that, they're a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, it's like that's your priority. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with holding 3 of them, have you been able to experience that flexibility?
Oh, yeah. My job in the SE office, I sit and do rounds every hour in the student union. But other than that, I can just do my homework, and it's an ideal job.
Yeah. So that's one really big benefit with doing a
Mhm.
work study program versus a job around either Bexley or Columbus, where they're like, we get it, you're a student, but we hired you for a job. That's, you run that risk of that employer being like, I hired you, you need to do your job.
Yeah.
Not that work study wouldn't be doing their job,
Mhm.
but there's that understanding that school comes first, which
Absolutely.
is really, really cool. Can we talk about different work study programs of like, are there different fields? Like, are there different departments that people are like, oh, that sounds interesting. I would love to get involved with that. I know that I did a work study when I was a student. It was just because a professor came in the same year that I started, Chad Lowridge. He still teaches here. And I was like, you do all things audio engineering and like recording. What can I do? I want to do all the things. And he was like, clean the studios. And I was like, you got it. And I had a dustpan for 3 years. It was really great. But like, what are some other opportunities that would be available?
Practically every department on campus has that opportunity. Any department that needs student help, they can contact us to create a position. Obviously, there's budget considerations. They have to be able to cover a portion of it,
Right.
and that's done kind of higher levels. But most every department can create a position, and we just, like I said, we'll list those out on that job board, and students can take a look and see what's available. But we have a work study student in the financial aid office, the registrar's office.
Okay, wow.
Pretty much all over campus, and it's a lot of the athletic department. They have a lot of jobs that are available.
Oh, yeah.
So again, depending on what sport is in season, might have a job, and so folks will move around.
Well, that's fantastic. Now let's move into if you guys want to talk about all things budget. Should students have a budget?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the
Episode over. That was cool.
I think I
End.
said it all.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that when you say budgets, people think of, like you said earlier, it's as exciting as applying for financial aid or doing your taxes. I mean,
Right.
you don't like the idea that because it feels like it's more of a burden
Right.
than giving you a sense of control.
Right.
And that's really what a budget should be doing.
I love that. The difference between it shouldn't be seen as a burden. It should be you feeling like you are in control. I love that idea.
And it can be overwhelming. One of the things I did last night that, in preparation for today is Googled how to make a budget. And
Wait a minute.
Hold on. Well, I know how to do it. I'm just
Okay.
saying that I did this this is the reason I did this. I received 1,980,000,000 responses in 0.62 seconds.
Right.
So, it's overwhelming. I mean, if you don't have any idea how to
Right.
build a budget, you Google it, and that's the kind of response you get back.
Yeah.
What do you do? And every article was 12 things you should know about budgets, 5 things you should know about budgets,
Right.
the absolute worst thing you could do with a budget. And, so all these things that, go into that. And so again, it can be overwhelming, but the point is you need to have a budget so that
Right.
you can control, you have some control over what you're doing with your money.
So this is the $1 million, excuse the money pun in that question. Taylor, do you have a budget?
Yes. So right now with all of my jobs, what I do is I take the money that I get from them and they go directly into my savings account. That's to help pay off my loans. And then if need be, I'll take like $50 out a month from my savings, put it in my checking so I can have some spending because I'm normally just on campus.
Right.
Other than that.
Yeah. Okay. John, what is our first steps in creating a budget?
To me, the important part is making sure you know how much, two things, how much do you owe each month? And where's the money coming from, or how much money do you have to put towards that? If you're working 3 jobs, you probably don't get to go out very much. So maybe your expenses are a little bit less, but, part of it too is understanding when the money is coming to you. So students that receive financial aid, if they're borrowing and they have a refund that comes to them, that's typically at the beginning of the semester. So you have to budget that money over the course of the entire semester. If you're working a work-study job or other jobs, you're typically getting paid, once every 2 weeks. So you're just understanding what your cash flow is so that you can plan for the expenses that you'll have, whether it be a monthly budget, some people do a weekly budget, that type of thing.
Yeah. You mentioned all going into your checking account or all going into your savings account and then putting some of it into your checking account. We've looked up, I've done the research as well. There's like a lot of different methods out there. There's things like the envelope method. I don't know if you guys have heard about that.
Yep.
It's Dave Ramsey. So dealing with actual cash, and then you put your available funds into envelopes, whatever it is, right? That's for food, that's for gas, that's for rent, all that kind of thing. And so you're like physically getting used to your actual budget with physical tender, which is, really hands-on.
Yeah.
But then other research has shown that you can create, there's a lot of feeless checking accounts and savings accounts. Like you won't get dinged based on how much money. So people have actually applied the envelope system to their bank accounts. This savings account is for this savings account. And they open up 5, 6, 7 different accounts with their bank to be able to categorize and do their spending that way. So again, just some helpful tips and, you got to figure out, I'm going to refer back to what you said, John. You have to feel like you're in control instead of helpless, because if you continue to feel helpless, you're just going to either be like, ignorance is bliss. It's not there. It's totally fine. Or you're going to be like, hey, I know what's happening. I know what money's coming in, what money's going out. So what does a typical budget look like? Can we talk hard numbers, percentages?
Yeah, I would say that one of the things that that I personally have looked towards is the, I believe that it's a 50-30-20 rule, and it's 50% of your budget should be focused on your financial needs. Okay. So housing, groceries, transportation, those type of things. 30% towards your wants. So things that you want to do, whatever that might be. It could be a gym membership, going to the movies, whatever you consider a want versus a need.
Right.
And then 20% towards savings. Again, there's a lot of different ideas that, this is what everybody should be doing, but you have to figure out what works for you. So, finding ways to determine, is there a cheaper way to live? Becoming an RA. I mean, that's a great way of, covering the expenses that you might not have the ability to cover, or you would have to borrow or do something else.
Right.
So just looking at the actual required things that you have to pay for and determining how you can do that.
All right. So 50% towards needs, 30% towards wants, My dad says I don't know the difference between the two. And then 20% to savings.
Right.
Okay. And that's like a good starting point. All those are flexible, but obviously you can either gain more income based on, you need your needs
Right.
or, cut costs to figure out what the wants are.
Right.
Okay. All right. That's pretty good.
And I've found as I've gotten older, needs and wants can vary. I mean,
Right.
coffee used to be a want, now it's a need. So, those are, but I've found also, making coffee at home's a lot cheaper. So,
Right. Yeah.
You just have to find a way to make sure that it kind of fits into that.
So speaking of making coffee at home versus buying, a $6 whatever latte, I'm neither guilty nor want to comment on that. What are some other ways to save money on, livelihood, especially for a student here on campus?
Well, one of the things I would say is that, if you are living on campus and you have a meal plan, you're going to, part of what you get in that meal plan are CAP bucks. And, with the meal plan, you get so many swipes and so many CAP bucks. And if you don't use them, you lose them kind of thing. So you want to make sure that you're maximizing that.
Yeah.
But CAP bucks are a way to use your meal plan, an expense that you've already incurred, for things across the street, restaurants, those types of things that accept those CAP bucks. And
okay, so there are businesses that accept CAP bucks, and they say, we'll give you great food or whatever that business is,
right,
in exchange for CAP bucks. Is there like a discount associated with CAP bucks?
I believe that they do some discounting,
okay.
But it's essentially a currency that you can use that, contracted with those different businesses.
So go find it out, that's great. Taylor, what are some tips and tricks, things that you've done to help you save money or spend your money better?
Yeah. Well, definitely being an RA helps me save money a lot.
Okay.
That covers my room, but we also have meal plans. And so just understanding that I am paying for this food, so I should probably eat it.
Right.
But also having those CAP bucks is super nice. My friends and I will, we have this group chat. And so we'll text, hey, let's go on Main Street and let's go eat it up. And then we just overwhelm the business.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I'm sure they love that.
Oh, they definitely do. But it's nice because you kind of feel like you're getting away from campus a little bit. But you're also not spending like your own physical dollars or your credit card, which is really nice.
Right. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on from tips and tricks and ways to save money, I think we're missing a big one. Do you guys know what it is?
What?
Really? You guys, we work at a college campus. It's the library.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Blackmore Library here, and then right next to it is the Bexley Library. People don't actually, attend libraries as much as they should. That's where you can get all the entertainment value, movies, yeah, of course, but like books and everything. There's ability to borrow new releases even. So here's an example of why you should go to the library more. Have you ever been scrolling on a streaming service and been like, oh, I really want to show you this movie or show you this show, and you can't find it because the show, Netflix has lost the licensing or Hulu doesn't have it anymore? Do you know where that show is?
Where?
Library.
The library. I'm telling you, it's great because they have everything, and you just be like, oh, now you can see Raiders of the Lost Ark, or insert a movie that your significant other hasn't seen, and you have to show them. And you're like, it's very important that you see Silence of the Lambs. It's not. Don't see it. It's very scary. So moving from that, let's talk about the nitty gritty. You're here at school. You're paying for it somehow. That is why we're saying you need to be budget conscious. And actually, that is a thing that is recommended, is included in your budget, that cost of college and a university tuition.
Yeah. one of the things that the financial aid office does during orientation is meet with every family. And we go over the award letter and discuss, how are they going to help pay for this? And it seems like a bit of an simplification, but there's only 3 ways of paying, or there's 3 ways that you pay for college, and that's either before college with savings,
Right.
During college with income that you have or financial aid that you receive during that time, or after college with loans that you borrow during the time that you're in school. So there's those 3 mechanisms that most everybody has available to them. So we kind of talk through looking at the entire cost of your education.
Yeah.
So being here all 4 years, and that gets you through that part of it. But if you have borrowed, making sure that you're considering your budget and your plan for repayment. It doesn't do anybody any good to get through this part of it and then struggle to pay back their student loans. So
I have to pay it back?
yes.
What? Hold on.
And surprisingly, there's a lot of times that students or parents don't realize that how much they borrowed or that they are borrowing. There's a lot of mechanisms that are in place to safeguard that so that most everybody knows. But you don't necessarily think of the repayment part of it. Your goal is to get through school.
Right.
And so we encourage everybody, and it's one of the things that I know the financial aid staff is passionate about, is making sure that if you are in that situation, that you're understanding what it is you have to do after you're done. Because we don't want anybody to be surprised, and we don't want anybody to be frustrated that they've gotten a great education and now they're struggling to figure out how to pay for it on the back end.
Yeah, the only surprise that you want financially is how much you've saved, or bank in your error, bank error in your favor. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Those are the surprises we want with money.
Yeah.
Taylor, I want you to chime in.
Yeah.
What's your experience with this?
Yeah, so as a sophomore, now I've gone through about 1.5 years dealing with all college finances, which is so exciting.
Yes.
But Capital is extremely generous in the scholarships that they give, which is great. But I also am taking out loans every year. But I have set myself up on a trajectory to try and pay them off. So I paid off my loan from last year already. Woo woo!
Wow.
And
That's
so we're
great.
just trying to continue that. So once I graduate, I don't have to look at all my money that I have to pay back.
Would you, so where does the motivation for that come from? Like, were you like, I'm going to be conscious of this, what I'm borrowing, that number is right there, I'm not going to ignore it. Like, what, or you just, tell me about you. What about Taylor were you like, I'm going to do this?
I'm just trying to set myself up so I can feel secure after graduation, to be able to get my own place and not have to worry about saving more money to spend on the loans that I haven't paid off.
Right.
So just, I guess, security and, like John was saying earlier, control. I want to feel in control.
Right. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Well, Taylor, John, this has been really awesome talking about, a volatile subject like money. People don't like talking about their money. What is the last bit of advice? Maybe talking to you as a freshman, what advice would you give either to you yourself or to somebody else that you would say, hey, this is really great? Or John, what are some most common question that you're like, here's the answer that you need as you're coming into this really amazing time of your life?
Yeah, I would say for incoming freshmen, especially like little me last year when I was coming in, just make sure you plan and you know what you're getting yourself into, but also save some money to have some fun. Like, these are the 4 years where you can have like good experiences. So plan, budget, and just to have fun while you're doing it.
Well, the one thing I guess I would say is make sure that you ask for help. Like I mentioned earlier, this can be overwhelming. We in the financial aid office understand that. We meet with families, we talk through it. But that's not the only opportunity. So if you have questions throughout the year, something changes, let us know. I mean, because you and having a budget, you can, you may not have as much control over what you have to spend or how much money is coming in, but there's different options that are available. The other thing I wanted to just quickly mention is that Molly Bauman in our office, she goes to the UC 199 classes each fall and talks through all things financial aid, budgeting, repayment of student loans, all of that. So take advantage of that and make sure that you're paying attention to those kind of things. Because again, this is you can really be set up very well, or you can have instances where you might struggle and you don't need to struggle. Right. So ask for the help. One of the other things I would like to mention is that we offer financial aid through the financial aid office, obviously the scholarships and grants. We also have access to, or we hear about outside scholarships that are available. And we have a Facebook page for the Capital University Financial Aid Office. Okay. Karen Lawler in our office, she will review those different advertisements about these outside scholarships, and then she'll post them. So throughout the year, there's always going to be different options to apply for additional aid. So if what you have right now, you could bolster that with some additional scholarships throughout the course of the year.
Fantastic. This is a lot of information. I've learned a lot. I hope our audience has learned a lot. Thank you guys for spending a little bit of time with me, and we've all learned.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
So thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.